All right, so here we are with a different scene. This scene is going to be all about this cut on the face here on the very end. I'm providing this animation, and I want this cut to be like in slow motion. Like I want to see it cutting through the skin and the blood bursting away. So the first thing that we're going to do, and of course, like we can reuse everything that we had, but we're going to read time. What I did here, I didn't run the animation in the slow motion. It was a real time, the speed that like would be normally like I would expect, and then I can retime here in Houdini. You could retime it inside Solaris. It's really good. Like you can even retime that without like fixed topology, where like the point count is changing there, but you can't really keyframe different like during the same animation. It's very tricky to keep everything running. So there's a couple of things that you take in mind when you're retiming an animation, and the first thing is that we need the topology to be the same, and when you're doing it over points you need some IDs, because it will interpret where each point is, and then in the next frame where it is, and then it can interpolate those, and based on that it would be able to create like the points in between for the slow motion. But imagine if you don't have the point count ID, you have just the point number, but the point numbers, they are always changing, because once one point dies, it changes the whole point count and the whole numbering. So you need to rely that on the IDs. So what we're going to do here, we're going to do one retime for her, for example, and then we're going to reference all retimes for the clothing, for him, for the point, for the rain, for everything, to match that. So that's why I also don't want to use like an animation that I do slow motion in when I'm animating, just because if it's not a constant slow motion like 50% or 25%, if you're ramping up and slowing down and then going fast, it's better to have control for everything else that you have in the scene, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to jump inside, right? So here I have like both my characters, and I have also this camera. It doesn't match. That camera was made after the slow motion, so the movement is going to make more sense once we do the slow motion. So where do we want to do the slow motion or scene? We need to do it in a couple of places, because the first place is here. I just want to do after everything we did here, then I want to do the slow motion in here, and of course for him, but also like we need to output like the slow motion as well for different moments, like the rain colliding with them, that we output this. So there's a couple of things that we need to do. So let me do it. So I'm going to take the trail node first. So it's calculating the velocities. It's good to have like the velocities calculated before, because the read time can take that into account. So I'm going to do the read time, right? So I'm going to also color this yellow, so we know that this is the read time for where we have like some keyframes. So that's why I like to use some color on this. And then there's something else that we need to do. And what we need to do, I want to place like also a time shift before this trail, where this time shift, just going to get like another color. I just want to clamp this to the last frame of this animation, right? So I want to clamp this to the animation 100. And now we need to also, let me do something else. Let me go to the object level and let me change that. So it's going to be my shot B, right? And then my frame range is going to be longer than that, because with the, I'm going to set this to for now like that. because then we can retime, but maybe for some things we will use this. For the other ones we might use the already the, because it's going to extend this to maybe 168. I'm not totally sure how long it is, but we're going to get there. So okay, I'm going to save, and then let's dive inside. So let me show you how to do that. You can do that by many ways. So one of the ways is by speed, and the speed is really good because you can control here. This is regular speed. If I put like 2 here, it's double velocity, it's faster, and 0.5 is half speed. So it's just like a percentage. When you go in decimals, it's just percentage of the original speed. But also I like to do this, so the output and the input is the same, 1 and 240, right? Like it could be to 100, doesn't matter, but like both of them, they should be the same. And then I like to scale the velocities. If you hover here, it means it says that if enable, velocities in the output are scaled account for the difference in playback speeds. This applies to the V points attributes as well as velocity field if volume blend, because you can also do in volumes. So this is just making sure that the velocity is also taking account the speed reduction and everything that we have. So the motion blur matches perfectly. For the point IGs, it takes the IG. So if you have a different attribute that is consistent, and you don't have like, but normally it's the IG for the points, right? So everything else I keep the same, and then that's it. So what we can do here is to keyframe points of the animation. So for example, I can come to the frame 50, right? So in this frame, I want the velocities to be 1. So I will play 1 and keyframe that, right? So then maybe just because I already done that, so like on the 54, I want to go, it's going to slow down to 35%, so 0.35. 0.35, and then it's keying because I have like auto here, so auto key changes. Otherwise you need to keep pressing alt and click to keyframe. So now you see that something weird happened to her, and that's related to the UVs. It's like in the normals and everything is messed up, but we're going to fix that later. For now, don't worry with that. You can just keep framing that. And I'm going to bring the one that I already set, and I'm going to provide that to you. So is this. So all these greens are the keyframes that I have. So it goes from 0.35 and then it probably keep around that. So it's a little bit slower. Then it's going to move to 1 again. So it accelerates and then going to keep 1 and then it's going to slow down. And you can also come in here, press shift and click, and you're going to have like this, the curve. So if I press H, I'm going to frame everything. And here you can see my curves. You can improve that. Like if you want, like you see this ramp and cut and keep like constant speed and all that. Like, so you can improve that a lot. So it means that like this from here to here is the same speed. So you can kind of like, if you do here, for example, you're ramping up this and making it like a little bit different and more smooth in the transitions. But because I already done and it was looking good to me, I'm not going to mess up with that. So I'm going to come back. But you can do that. Okay, so now how can we get back to where we were with the everything else here, the colors and everything and the normals? So what we can do here, we can do an attribute delete. And let me just grab here. And if I press Shift 5, you see that it's messed up. You see how the UVs are here and how masked they are in here. So I want to delete the UVs in this one. Texture UV. Okay. So we don't have UVs anymore. So yeah, it's looking better. But now I can do an attribute copy. The attribute copy, it works when you have the same topology, right? Like, so the attribute transfer, it transfer an attribute. There is the difference between these two. This one, you can grab something, for example, from here to here, but then you can do that based on you select which attribute you want, but based on a condition, like the distance, and normally is based on the distance threshold, right? Like, so you can do the attribute copy is a little bit different because it doesn't give you this property of the distance or anything. It just asks you what you want to transfer, and because the points are the same, it's going to transfer the attribute that was in that point before to this point, to the same point later. So it's exactly what we want in this case. So what I want here is to come, and I want to the attribute name. I don't need to do that because I can transfer the UVs, and it's vertices and vertices. Right. Auto detect. Yeah, copy data, copy data. We don't need to change everything. And now, if we have a look again, what is it? Why is not here? Okay, yeah, I forget to have this. Now we have back. I don't know, like it's complain, but it's just like going to work. And then I can recalculate my normals as well. And if I come here, it's looking correct again, but it's now it's working slow motion. The thing now that we can do, we can just make a reference copy of this guy. And for that, we can just press Shift Control Alt and drag, and we would have a reference copy of this one. Exactly the same. So I can copy these guys. They don't need to be a reference copy in this case. And I can just cut this, and let's bring to this other side. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to just give us a little bit more space. And we can set, I need to set also my, this one, alt copy. And I'm going to put that before the trail node. And now I want to add this one here. Then this one. And from here, we can set. And now both of them are working. All right, so we can look how to, we probably need to do the same thing and copy this to here, but I'm not going to worry for that because we can work on that like once we start navigating through our effects and see what we need and how we're going to approach each effect, because we don't want to run the effect. I want to run the effect in full speed and then come down, because everything else on the effects are the same that we covered before, except the cut in his face, and that's what we're going to focus on this module. All right, so I think it's good for now. When we come back, we keep working on that, and see you in a moment.